What's going on, everybody? You guys know who this is. I keep bringing you the segment, and the segment still does what it does. Thanks for being a part of this. This is National Sex Day, the only adult holiday out there, and we have a bunch of holidays underneath it as well. We got Swingers Day, Swingers Week, Anal Sex Day, Oral Sex Day. All these holidays and a few others are under our umbrella. If you go to sexdays.org, you'll check them all out and you're going to celebrate yourself in whatever capacity you choose to. But just keep this in mind. Again, on this planet of 7 billion people, National Sex Day has the major holidays, and we're coming up with a few more. We're going to find a few more with your suggestions, and we celebrate them, whether it be at the clubs, whether it be at events, whether it be at the conventions that are coming up, or celebrate them any way you choose to. But the more we spread what's going on with Sex Day, the better we're going to have everybody on board. It's for everybody. We talk about the things I mentioned, but we also go deeper. We do stuff with the mental health stuff going on in the industry. People who've been abused, we find them doctors and counselors. We also are real big with STD prevention. We give out condoms once a month here in the DFW area, and we try to give them out anywhere that we have an event because that's very important. We got free testing going on. People, get your numbers, get some testing going on. It's for your health and your partner's health or whoever you choose to be with. We talk all those things together, and it comes to one thing. Sex Day is all about what it is. The world of sex, plain and simple, and we celebrate it. We also celebrate it with the people in the industry, the adult industry. They have a story to tell, and they want you to know what's going on with them in front of the camera and behind the camera. It's going to be something that's talked about. And speaking of talking, I got a great guest who used to be in the DFW area, and she went up north because she doesn't like what we have down here. I mean, they got colder weather up there. They got a change of seasons. It's a
It's only till November.
I was talking and she just came right inside. But she can do that because you know what? She's my friend. She's beautiful. And I've seen her half naked. I hadn't seen the full Monty yet. But one day I will. What's your name, sweetheart? And what do you do?
Hi, I'm an alcoholic. I was just kidding. I'm Mistress Nikkitta. I've been in the BDSM lifestyle for over a decade, and I'm a professional dom who also has a unique dungeon, and I play in kinky events.
She plans kinky events and sometimes she does them impromptu too, like when you're at work and you can't get there. And you know what? She has done that to me recently on a visit to the DFW. You know what it's like when you're sitting there at work, especially when you work sometimes for the government, and you get this hard on you can't do nothing about because she gets you all excited. But you got an 8 hour day and it just started. So because of her, I had to walk in formation with the limp. Thanks, mistress.
You're welcome. I do my best.
You could have done your best to relieve it.
No, not my job.
Okay, we could find somebody to relieve it. I didn't say it had to come directly from you, but indirectly, I'll take that too. What am I? What am I going to do with you? I just don't know.
Keep me in your pocket.
Yeah, or chain you up somewhere. I did see part of your dungeon when you lived here. You got the gadgets.
It's only a full-size dungeon.
Doesn't matter. Full size or economy size or somewhere in between, man. You can make it work. I know you
Yeah.
can. And the people that I know who know you say the same thing, so you can't get out of that one. It's just not going to happen.
Don't don't lose me in a hardware store.
Note to self, people, do not take this lovely woman to a hardware store. First of all, she's going to charge it up on you. Second of all, you got to carry the shit out. Okay? You're probably going to have more than one trip knowing you and what you might be up to.
Only whips and ropes and zip ties, just to name a few.
Okay, back up a few paces. How in the hell do you find the whip at a hardware store?
You just make one.
No, you said find one. Okay, find one and make one are two different things. You can make one from, I don't know, other craft stores, but
Well,
why
you could
hardware store?
go to the electrical department and get some electrical cord, and that makes a good whip.
Wow, boy, you talk about a short circuit. Okay, okay. We're going to get into the specs of it. I do promise you guys that. But first and foremost, BDSM. You're one of maybe two people I've ever talked about with that subject, and there's already an International BDSM Day, but we're finding holidays kind of like that around that to add to what we already have. With that being said, people associate BDSM with much more than what it is, or sometimes much less. So, in your professional opinion, give us what the definition of BDSM is and how people should take it.
So BDSM is just more than pain, more than as people would think as kinky sex. It's a way to lose yourself in a role that you would never imagine taking on in your everyday life, or as your vanilla life, as people would call it. And they could be anywhere from sissification, where you dress up as a girl and you get treated like shit, or various type of discipline or servitude. But it's more than just pain. It's more than just all of those misconceptions that you see.
Well, a lot of people, just like I did at first, we always associate BDSM and it's always going to be a sexual thing. But most of the time, it's not. And we tell people, yeah, you might go to a BDSM club. They say, well, we didn't get laid. Well, some people don't want to get laid. It is
It's
what it is, but you got to kind of tell us about that because some people still
it's
BDSM,
about
they think it's sex.
it's about exploring power dynamics in a consensual and control way. You have a person who's always considered the top or the dominant or whatever adjectives you want to use, and then you got your bottom or your submissive, and it's a nurturing relationship. It's if it's done correctly, it's kind of like a romantic relationship is the best way to put it in similarity, because you do care for each other. You make sure everybody has their needs met as well as your own needs, but you're always putting safety first because you don't want to end up hurting anyone,
Okay.
whether that's emotionally or physically.
Hmm. And there's safety factors there too. I notice when people go to a dungeon, or when they go to a dungeon, they should have a safety seminar. I got to be brief about it because some things, if they go wrong, they can be very hurtful, painful, or they can be fatal. This is one of the things, or a kink or exploration of a sexual nature, that really could end up in like an instant death when it comes to people like choking out and stuff around their neck, whatever. There's a bunch of horror stories out there that unfortunately are true. But is that something that you think it should be required when you come to a dungeon or a person that has your services?
For my personal business and my practices, I always have a consent form, especially if I'm doing a one-on-one session or a two-on-one session, because I do couple sessions. I teach couples how to bring kink into their relationships. Um, I always do a consent form. I'm like, what are your soft limits? Things that you're open and willing to try. What are your hard limits? These are things that are an absolute no. There's no discussion about it. Um, what's your aftercare? What are your needs to get you out of that space so you can come back to the real world, or the vanilla world as people call it. And for me personally, I like to write down everybody's preferences and what they envision a session would look like, so I can have notes to like prepare sessions, because I don't do sessions on the fly. I'm like a teacher. I plan. And then for like dungeon rentals, I rent out my dungeon for people to have private spaces, and there I have liability forms. So saying, yes, I know I'm entering a dangerous practice, and I'm not going to sue you if I get hurt because I'm dumb and I don't I don't follow instructions.
Yeah, you kind of do your own thing. We've all noticed that by now. If not, they'll figure that out by the end of this podcast, and it is what it is. But
And when you go,
the safety factor thing, what I'm talking about, not only that, it's good to have the consent, forms. Everybody signs up and that's your liability. But I'm talking about like when things go south, people are hitting too hard. I mean, it's no longer pleasure. It's more pain. It's more torture. Again, when it comes to choking, people are like, well, I want to be choked harder. Someone says, okay. You might even have a problem with the esophagus. There's a bunch of vocal cords. I mean, some things are irreversible once you've hurt them and damaged them, is what I'm saying. So,
yeah,
how do you come to that to where the person has pleasure, but at the same time, you're causing pleasurable pain, but you can't cross that line?
that's when you establish safe words in a safety system. I use the traditional stoplight method. Green means everything is good in the session, or playtime, as people would say, is playtime. Um, Yellow, you're starting to get uncomfortable, but it's not to a point where it's unmanageable. And red means like you've hit your limit, you can't go anymore, and that's when you have to stop. And one thing that you really have to iterate, especially to new people or new relationships in the dynamic, is when you hit red, it is not a punishable thing. Just because you need to stop the session is not a form of like, oh, you're a wimp, why did you have to stop, type of thing. Like that's not what it is. It's a safety thing saying, hey, we are past comfort, we're past safety, this needs to stop. And this is usually where aftercare starts taking place and bringing you back down from essentially a BDSM high.
Okay. That's important. That's important. And by the way, just in case you want to know, or people listening out there want to know, my safe word is noodles. Just getting it out there. Just I ain't talking ramen. I ain't talking about elbow. I just say noodles, man. Whatever it is, gonna stop. Okay, just
So,
FYI. And it's kind of hard to get the safe word when your ass is choking. When your tongue's hanging out, it's kind of hard to
oh,
noodles.
that's a good point that I forgot to mention. If you are doing such things where you're enabled to automate words and such, I have hand signals to let people know, like, three fingers is the stop, two fingers means you're okay, and that's an easy gesture to see when you have someone gagged or you have someone choked or what have you.
Okay. That's simple enough. I can comply with that. And I'm telling you, if I'm on the ground and someone's hitting the gas, I'm like, you got to stop. You got to stop. Yeah, it's my signal right here. What? It's universal. Stop doing
Well,
what you're doing, man.
well, if that was never initiated in your negotiation, that could be seen as bratty behavior, and you're testing your dominant, and you're provoking them to discipline you more or to give you more of what they're dishing out.
Okay, then I'm gonna have to come back and just knock the hell out of somebody. You don't get this gesture, man. All right, you gonna get some of this. This isn't part of the program. Damn, I'm wearing my good ring too with a little piece of Indian jewelry. Like, yeah, I'll stamp your ass with some feathers, boy. I'll be all in it. Sometimes you got to bring it to the party, man. You got to give it to the people. But
Ending is a
again,
whole different kink.
yeah, we're gonna get back on the beaten path. Okay, let's get back to the narrative here. For real though, people, you got to have that. You got to have whatever it is, your likes, your dislikes. Maybe you'd like to try. You've done this before, so you know what? I haven't done that before. It's pleasing yourself and also your mate or people. BDSM. It's just an entity we hadn't got into yet, but the rise of it, like being accepted, being more normalized. People are so happy to say, "Yeah, I do BDSM now," but 10 years ago, maybe people never said that. Why do you think it's coming on strong and it's more accepted now than ever?
Because social media and the power of technology is in everybody's hand, in everybody's pocket. And we didn't have that 10 years ago. The internet was still a very basic tool to use, and it was a very primitive time. I is the best way to put it, where it was just a naughty little secret that people have. But now that technology is so vastly available and there's so many things that you can learn about BDSM, it's just become more socially acceptable. And as you see now in cinema, it's become a fun thing to shoot, even though they kind of miss the mark.
As Hollywood for you. As
Yeah.
as a director, because I have a degree in radio, TV, and film, and I had my own TV show on regular TV prior to COVID. I've done some independent movies, and I shot some adult things because I had some friends that, hey, man, you got a degree, hook it up, let's see what we get. They want to make it to where you will look at it more, or oh my God, it's a spin on it. It didn't happen that way, but if it did happen this way, this is what the depiction of it happens to be in a Hollywood setting. So yeah, it brought people in. It did its job. But do we have people like yourself saying, this is the real job? This is the reality of what it is. And then you do stuff like that. I could see you doing instructional videos with this BDSM. Is that something you've thought about before?
Yes. I just don't have the equipment or the know-how to put it together.
Another reason to bring your ass back to Dallas. Let me help you. Okay.
Yes.
Well, people are doing that anyway. And if it's done in accordance to most platforms, including YouTube, you don't have to go overboard to get your point across. And people are doing that now. It's how you put your spin on it. You've done this. You've got experience and you've got past clients. So therefore, I could see you doing this. And if that happens, I want my cut.
I'll give you two French fries.
Yeah, okay. We got more problems than that. Remember, I like noodles. So therefore, pasta or something like that. Don't be give me them fries like that. We'll talk when the camera's off. But anyway.
It's a date.
Oh, yes, it is. This time you will see me next time you're in town. When you
Oh,
coming?
I'll be in Tulsa. That's where my new location's gonna be. It's only a 3 hour drive.
There's nothing in Tulsa but cows and cow patties and dust and tornadoes. I've been to Tulsa. It's a 5 hour drive from here. Okay. Yeah. I'm telling you about that. The only thing I think that's really good up in Oklahoma are the casinos. And they got a lot of my money. I need to get my shit back. So yeah, we might have to do all that, but I'm looking forward to it. Anyway, so what would you say would be the ultimate dungeon? Like if you're going to have the space, and you got the money, and you got the equipment in your mind. If you are going, I mean, I saw your dungeon you had down here. The dungeon I thought was great, but if you want to one up that game, what would be in the ultimate dungeon?
I guess personality. I hate it when you see the typical black and red dark setting. It just looks like a sellout. Kind of wondering if there's some areas that need some extra sanitation. But, but the most ultimate dungeon is aesthetics. Like put your own personality in it. Don't conform to what you see in cinema or what you see at the local dungeon. Just put the things in it that you know that you're gonna love and like, and go from there.
Hmm. Well, I have a 3 bedroom house, and a part of me is like, man, you ought to take that room and do something with it.
Do
Actually, it's
it.
the studio where I'm shooting at right now. I mean, I use this room for a lot of things, whether it be that or music. I got my bass guitar and stuff over here. Trust me, it's versatile. But
It's amazing.
I don't know where to start with that because everybody says the ultimate dungeon has this. Ultimate dungeon's got that. The ultimate dungeon includes whatever. I'm kind of with you. Whatever you want to put there for your own spin should
So,
be the way it
so
should
if
be.
you're the type of person who likes rigging, which is, rope work and suspension, and you have rope bunnies, which is what the bottoms are called for that. Make sure you have a really good top of the line rigging system and hard points in your room so you can do various activities. For my dungeon, my unique piece is I revinyled a medical table, an old medical table, and it has the stirrups, it has a patient tray, and it's a very versatile tool where I can put people in various positions, especially for CBT play.
Oh boy. Mm. Now you're scaring half the people away. You went all into the anatomy of what I got, what I repurposed. It has the original stirrups into. Oh yeah, yeah.
That's what I'm saying. Like original aesthetics, go original. You don't have to do the typical setting.
There's so many typical settings. You got the cross and you got the bench. And for me, it's always, I guess it's called the stocks where the hands go in, comes
Yep,
down on you.
I, I have one of those.
I would not want to be in that, but I would want somebody in there doing the fantasy. So I'll put it that way.
I
I
had
think huh?
I don't know if you remember, but I had a drop down stock, so it came down from the ceiling, so it was out of the way, and you can put it in various positions where you can have them standing or kneeling or on the ground.
Hmm. Let me tell you something about that. Back in the day, way back in the day, that was a form of punishment, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Because most people don't know that. Well, from what I read, this was like, how can I say this? A woman was accused of having anal sex, and the pilgrims or whoever it was back in the day that had that, somebody said she did. Whether she did or not, no one knows, but she was accused of it, kind of like being a witch. So they put her in a stocks, so they put her in a town square, which at the time was public. I mean, people went to bed. It's nighttime. She's still in it. It wasn't a daytime thing. You went ahead and did it. She stayed there, say, 4 days. Sake of argument. Well, it turns out she couldn't see behind her, and somebody was sneaking up behind her at night doing anal sex because wasn't nobody there. That's kind of fucked up knowing that, hey, I didn't do this stuff, but yet what they accused me of, someone's doing to me, and she couldn't identify the person, and she's screaming, yell, but no one came to her defense because they're not in town. They're in their houses sleeping. So they had to post a sentry overnight to make sure no one came and did that to her. That's fucked up, isn't it?
Yeah. Sounds like a dark, twisted Cinderella.
It does. And I have a feeling that she probably wasn't the only one that happened to. But if you think about it, the way things were set up back then, you put you in there, and that was day or night. Wolf could have came and got you. Animal could have came. They didn't care. You stayed out there for your duration of punishment.
Part of your punishment. If you got chewed up on a little bit, I guess that's part of your punishment.
Sure is. And someone says, you're back there doing backdoor. She's like, no, I've never done that before, but it was her word against whoever. And
that was a very unchristian thing to do.
I just find it funny that, this is so taboo, but yet someone's in the woods just like waiting, going, it's my turn. And there's nobody here. Huh.
Everybody has a flavor.
Well, most people had a flavor, but it was considered taboo among the elders and among the statesmen, among the police, among the community. But somebody was out there doing it. Just they kept it on the low. And she might have, but she said she didn't. And how could you prove it? I get that. But someone had to one up and said, you get out there. So watch out, people. If they bring back this form of punishment, we got enough cameras now going on. So that's not going to happen. But it make one kick-ass X video.
Yeah, it would.
That got me twisted, man. That's kind of wrong. Can't get out. Anyway, I'm not trying to give you fuel for the fire. You probably thought about that, but anyway. Your mind is like that sometimes.
It's a vault.
Are you sure?
It has a lot of filing cabinets.
Yeah, it does. You're multifaceted, man. You are talented, multifaceted, and I love when you wear that lingerie.
Oh gosh.
You got it going
Make
on.
me blush.
Hey, you know what? I tell it like it is. Why lie? Women hate it when men do. So he's got to tell you like it is and kind of roll with it. But anyway, hey, give us some of your links and some of your social media tags. When people want to probably know how you are, how to find you. I'm assuming you're coming back more to this region opposed to Minnesota. You mentioned Tulsa, of course. Texas isn't so far. But if they want to get to know you, get your services, let them have it.
You can find me on Instagram as Mistress_Nikkitta, but I'll admit it, I'm not the best at keeping things updated because I'm terrible. I'm terrible at social media. I am not that young little whiz kid that always posting pictures and this and that. And then I have my business website. It's victiscoaching.net. But since I'm traveling, it's under construction because I don't want people to flood it while I'm away.
Got a point. Got a point. But they swear they're not going to fill up your inbox, and the opposite happens. So, and because of that, people, I'm going to give you her personal phone number. It is. I'm kidding.
Would it be the first time? Would be the first time.
Now, somebody going to test the waters and call you. Yes, they are, but that's all right. Contact her there. She's got great services. She's got good references. I've known her for a bit, and the thing is, we don't hang out as much as we could or should. But you're always welcome when you're in the DFW or close by. We can meet somewhere and kind of go from there. But BDSM is so much more to it than most people give it credit for. And it's not as taboo. It's not the hidden secret. People still hide it. People sometimes don't want people to know what they do in the bedroom. That's up to the people. I get that. But I just want to break down the barrier, ladies and gentlemen, that BDSM is not always about penetrating sex. So many people get discouraged when they go to these places and they walk out and say, I didn't get this. I couldn't have sex. She didn't want me to, touch her or whatever, do it. But not everybody does that. Not everybody does that. A lot of people walk into a dungeon and say, I got tied up and I loved it. That was euphoric. That was good enough for them. It's not for everybody, but please, people, BDSM is not always a sexual thing. Am I right?
Right. And if you didn't know, BDSM stands for bondage, discipline, or dominance, depending on how you want to say it, submission, sadism, and masochism. And it's all about exploring power dynamics between two consensual people in a control environment.
It can't get any plainer than that, people. It can't get any plainer than that. I've got people who still won't absorb this knowledge, and they're going to have to live with that until they realize one day, oh, they're talking about the right thing. Infliction Hall, which is here in the Metroplex, they got a big dungeon, and they're friends of mine. They also have the Swingers Club next door, Club Eden, and they're also good friends of mine. I mean, we do a lot of promotions together. We hang out together and stuff. It helps my holidays. There are people in swingers environments who don't swing. They go there because it's a different atmosphere, but at the same time, that was hush hush too. So all this is coming together, and people explore what you want to explore. Do it safely, do it wisely, do it knowing that your partner knows you're doing it. Don't do it on the slide because that kind of makes it a bad stain. But have the professionals like this lovely woman show you the ropes or rope you in, because I have a feeling if you had rope, somebody might be in trouble.
And with BDSM, it's always best to take a workshop or do your research before trying a new kink. Make sure you learn as much as you can before deciding, oh, I'm going to tie someone up in midair and try not to kill them.
Yeah, because some things, once you're there, it's like you better know how to get out of it or bring them down because you was fun going up. And the sad part is, it's got to end. You want to make sure it ends great, graceful, less pain. Not a trip to the ER. That's an ER story in the making. Or it could be
So many
yourself.
butt stories.
What was that?
So many butt stories of the ER.
Yeah. I know several paramedics and they keep me in stitches, but they won't come on this program. So I'm out to do a separate podcast called The Real ER Stories, and just for HIPAA and all the legal stuff, we can't say and do a lot of things. And I get that part, but damn, the stories are fucking funny. And somebody probably did something like that tonight too. We'll leave it at that. Hey, folks, thanks for being a part of it. Again, National Sex Day. We are on SLS Radio. We are really doing well with that. We're also on XBiz TV. So they love what we do. We always trend when we put a new episode out there. Of course, our YouTube channel. And we're also on Twitter, also on FetLife under National Sex Day, sexdays.org on Twitter, X any way you want to call it. So we're the only holiday that's got everything from oral sex day, anal sex day. We own Swingers Day, Swingers Month. And currently, I am partnering with people to do National Swingers Week. It hasn't been announced yet. We do have the information. We will put that out there as soon as we can, but we got the holidays all locked up, people. It's been that way for the last 3 years, and it's been a blast. Thank you for being a part of it. Thank you, Mistress, for being here. People, go to her links. We'll post them in the credits. And we just appreciate her spending time. And anybody else who is a performer, you're a porn star, you're a content creator, you're a sex counselor, a sex coach, an instructor, we want to talk to you. Again, we want to talk to you. Podcast, cross promote. We'll see you guys next time.